Hey everyone, welcome back here to my channel where I play Planet Zoo. My name is Nisse and we are coming to the part of our water area where we are in North America. Last time we did the American alligator and I falsely thought it was South America, but it wasn't. Also, we had to switch some things around. So we made a beaver dam with rooms for the beavers to swim and a little climbing areas for the raccoons who also live here. And if you want to learn a little more about the raccoon and the North American beaver, or you simply want to know how I built this habitat, then please keep watching. As you already seen, I do plan to make this in multiple layers, kind of like we did with Tommy Stover on the other side of the habitat. This both have something to do with the fact that beavers build dams, but it also simply just have something to do with the fact that I have a plan for what I want to build for next, and I need the water to be lower for that. So yeah, it's just sometimes we need to mix things around to make them work better. And I really like the result I got off of it. I did plan to make this habitat for both animals. However, I thought about what would be cute to see in a zoo, and that's never a good place to start a habitat, but that's what I went with. And I thought that both beavers and raccoons, of course, live in and around water, so we needed water, of course. But what would be really cute was if we had some rocks and they could sit up there. And raccoons are one of these few animals in the world who always washes its food. You can even give it not fish food, like you can give them chicken, for instance, and they will still go to the water and wash it. So it would be really cute. You can see the raccoon sit on a stone or something and wash their food this way, and the beavers would sit and nurse their fur and their young in this really cute way also on the rock. So that's really what I wanted to see, so that's what I built for. However, I didn't take into account that raccoons also live in foresty areas, so we will not hit that part completely. But even though I started making this completely rock area, we will get some green, some flowers, a few trees, not a lot, because I didn't want the habitat to look way too heavy. We put a lot of stuff in here, to be honest. So I wanted to balance it out and make it a lot more open than what I normally would do with a forest. As always, when I build these water habitat, water is my number one priority because everything else can be moved around in various different ways. The water cannot, and sometimes if you need to go back and fix the water, you will, for instance, need to redo the barrier and such. So for me, it's very important to start there. I know you can do it in different ways. I just find this the most sufficient way of doing so. We do elongate here the house for the American alligator and make room for it to be elongated even more. Again, raccoons and beavers are not gonna spend a whole lot of time in a big indoor habitat, so it doesn't need to be bigger than that. So we can just as well utilize the house for more animals without making it this giant building. And just to make sure we are all on the same page, both the North American beaver and the raccoon have multiple names, as always. It's apparently not supposed to be easy for anyone. So the North American beaver is also called the Canadian beaver, the American beaver, or just again, North American beaver. And the raccoon is also called the common raccoon, North American raccoon, or northern raccoon, or simply just coon. I will try to stick with the names that are in the game, which is North American beaver and raccoon. But if I mess up, I do apologize. I'm doing the best I can here, but again, I'm not a zoologist or anything like that. I'm just a girl who loves animals. Anyway, the last time I built for these two beautiful animals, I focused mostly on the raccoon. So today I'm gonna start with the North American beaver, but I will probably try to find a little space for both of them in my voiceover today. So yeah, as always, comment section is there for you if there's anything you want to know, if there's any questions or anything like that. And furthermore, I have my second channel where I play other games also, where I'm just live over there, and I am currently also playing a little bit of Planet Zoo there. We're gonna make some just foliage, no habitat, but just a little foliage and beautifying an area this Sunday, tomorrow. So therefore, if you want to join over there, link is in the description. Anyway, the North American beaver is in the order of Rodentia, which is the order of rodents. Rodent actually comes from Latin, or in Latin it's called rodere, which is to gnaw. I think that's how you pronounce it. But it is all of these beautiful small animals, like everything's from rats, capybara, beavers, and so on, that have these smaller animals that like to chew and stuff. I guess that's how you can say it. It can also be hamsters and everything in between there. But that's basically the order of rodents. And there's more than 2,382 individuals in this group. And again, as I said, we have guinea pig, capybara, groundhog, koipu, rats, different kinds of rats, mole rats, mouse, everything, squirrel. So all of these small cute animals are in this order. Anyway, when we go down from order to family, the group becomes much smaller, and the family is called Castoridae, which only holds 2 individuals that also have the same genus, which is the castor, and that is the Castor canadensis and the Castor fiber. Castor fiber is the Eurasian beaver, and Castor canadensis is the American beaver, or North American beaver. So they have their entire own family away from everyone else. So they don't have a close cousin, but they have like family out there, further away related. However, even though it is called the North American beaver, that's actually not the only way you can see it in the wild. It's the only place it is native, but in South America, more specifically Patagonia, they have been introduced, and the same goes for Finland and Karelia in Europe. So you can actually see multiple places. So if you see a beaver in Europe, it isn't necessarily the Eurasian beaver. And when you say beaver, you of course also think beaver dam. But all beavers do not live in these smaller lakes where they would easily be able to build dams. They can also live in, again, wetlands, rivers, riparian, where it would be very easy, but also places like the forest, freshwater, and larger lakes. Again, it can be everything in between, and they do not actually need a beaver dam. They just really like to build them, and at the same time, they can be very useful for the beavers. But depending on where they are, they will need them more or less. They are really traversal when it comes to climate zones, and they live both in the temperate cold and polar climate zones, which I do not think they are listed as a tundra animal according to Zoopedia, but it is an interesting fact to keep in mind. Beavers in general likes to live in these family groups, but the North American beaver is really territorial in the same way. So they live in these larger or smaller groups, depending on how you look at them, which would normally be a family group of around 8 individuals. However, even though they are very social animal and really like to be around each other and groom each other and all of these fun stuff, they do not like anyone else, so they are extremely territorial at the same time. Beavers are very willing to move around a lot to find their food, but they do not like to carry it over land too far. Therefore, they will try to make sure that they could move all the way in water. Again, a lot of food will be weighing less in water. We all know that you can carry really heavy things underwater, but as soon as you need to do it on top of water, it feels so much heavier. So therefore they will try to do that. They will also change the water flow, and this is where they will use the dams to not necessarily change the water flow and move the lake. They can do that, but that's more a accidental thing. But it's more like if you are in a river and the water goes really, really fast, you may feel a little more comfortable floating around in the water if it goes slower. So that's why they actually built the water dams. That's also why they throughout the year will actually stockpile branches to keep around their home. So they know if they need through the winter to build a new dam, they will have a reserve of nice branches ready for use. I don't know why, but I always thought that beavers were eating more like otters, so they eat like small fish and clams and such. But they are herbivores and lignivores, which means their primary food source is bark and cambium. And cambium, I didn't know what was, but it's the piece of the tree that is just beneath the bark. So they kind of take off the bark, eat that, and then take the next layer also. To go back to the small family group of up to 8 individuals that we talked about earlier, it will include a mating pair and then their offspring from that's younger than a year. They will live in the same lodge, the entire family, and mom and dad will be together for life since they are monogamous. Their mating season changes a little bit depending on where in the rain they live. So in the north, it will be during the winter, January to March, but in the southern regions of their rain, they do it a little earlier, from November to December. But though the babies hang around for a while, they actually get independent very fast. First of all, we have the pregnancy, of course, which only takes 3 months, and the mom will give birth to 3 to 4 kids. After this, they need to be weaned, which in general happens around 2 weeks after they are born, but in some cases can take up to 3 months. Yeah, that's a span that wants something. Already the same day they get born, they will be out in the water for the first time, and a few days later the parents will keep them around and show them the entire home range of the family. A lot of the issues of the North American beaver is basically because they are beavers. Again, beavers, beaver dams. Beaver dams are really a hassle for a lot of people. It can change the complete road of a river, but it can also simply change the flow of a river. It also gives the basic issues where they put down trees, ruin trees, and in general ruin the habitat for a lot of other animals also. So it's not always the local population is big fans of theirs, which can bring them into trouble where people want them dead, either by hunting or putting up traps. Hunters also in general want them because the fur is quite magnificent, and this is an issue we see with a lot of animals. Another issue is tularemia, I think it's called, which is a disease that hits a lot of different animals in North America. It's not a disease I'm familiar with, but it seems that it's not only the North American beaver it hits, but is a general issue in the area. And more than that, the rivers and water in general in these areas sometimes are polluted, which give issues when the beavers pretty much live in it. And you just need a small cut or something like that to actually get a really bad infection because of it, which is something we as humans don't like, and the animals can't go to the doctor and get antibiotica, so it is a real issue. Luckily today they are still listed as least concern on the IUCN Red List. And the numbers in the wild is pretty much unknown at this point. So it doesn't seem like the issues they have are too big at this point. But with every animal, we just need to be aware of it. And even though they are not extinct right now, they could literally be extinct in very local populations. So yeah, as always, keep in mind the beautiful animals behind all of the issues they bring. But let's focus a little bit of the raccoon. And when we look about the classifications here, we can start with the order, which is Carnivora, which is all of the carnivores under the heaven's light, basically. There's 480 or more species in this order, so again, a lot of them. For suborder though, we are in the Caniformia, which is only 297 members. Even though it's called Caniformia, it is a suborder and not the family, just to clarify. But we do still include the giant panda, the gray wolf, the brown bear, the polar bear, raccoon, coyote, wolverine, red panda, dingo, and so on, honey badger, foxes. I could continue, but I'm not gonna. But then we go down to the family and we have the Procyon. And in here we have about 19 species, which again is the raccoon, but also the kinkajou, ringtail. It's not the ringtail lemur, just to clarify, it's just ringtail it's called. White nose coati, South American coati, a lot of these smaller climbing carnivores, I think is the easiest way to explain it. And if we zoom in as close as possible, who is the closest related animals out there, we're looking at the genome, of course, and that is Procyon, which is of course raccoon. And then we have the crab-eating raccoon and the Cozumel raccoon, the loop raccoon, a few extinct species, and the Bahamian raccoon. So we have a lot in here, but it seems that is only for the raccoons, and that also gives the raccoon that we're looking at today, which is also, again, common raccoon, North American raccoon. It's not the only species of raccoon, but it's just the most commonly talked about raccoon. So it's called Procyon lotor, sorry. They do also live in North America, and therefore also some of the same places as the North American beaver, but where the North American beaver lived in the polar climate zones, here we instead have the tropical, but they do share both the temperate and the cold. They do also, like the North American beaver, live in wetlands and riparian and marshes, forest, but here we also see places like the swamp, the woodlands, montane forest, agricultural, bog, suburban, urban wildlife, and anthropogenic biomes. So they are much more diverse, and they are also pretty much famous for being the little one that breaks in and steals stuff. So I think that honestly fits very well. Anyway, as you can see, the cinematics already started, and I do not have time to go into everything about this beautiful animal, but I did make another habitat for both of these in my magical forest behind the waterfall, I think. As zoo I never got to finish because it crashed too much. But it was right after the DLC, the Twilight DLC came out. It's beautiful, if you ask me. It's one of the most beautiful pieces I ever done, and I focus a lot of the Raccoon there. We also have the North American Beaver, but information wise I talk about the Raccoon, so if you want to hear that and see that, it's in that video. So yeah, enjoy the cinematics and I will come back afterwards. Okay guys, that's all I got for you today. I really hope you enjoyed it. And as always guys, you know the drill. Like, subscribe and turn on your bell notifications so you know the next time I upload a video. I really hope to see you again, either in the comments below or in the next video. Bye guys!